So, Amsterdam. I just got back from the first paid screenings in the world, which happened to be IMAX screenings, and they gave away posters at the end. So you know I'm a happy camper. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. I am your host, Harris, and today we are going over another Ticket or Skip It, this time over David O. Russell's newest film, Amsterdam. So in a Ticket or Skip It, we ask 4 questions before I ask you whether you should get a ticket, you should skip it, or you should get a ticket with a bit of trepidation. So our first question is, was the film itself fulfilling? So when I introduced it and said that it is all over the place and rather straightforward at once, it is very uniquely unique where it's kind of messy in the first act, but in the second and third it really turns into story. I kind of have to leave it at that, but I will say it is fulfilling. It turns a little more straightforward towards the end, and that's where that fulfillment comes from, but it's a very character-driven film, which brings me into question number 2. Were the characters' arcs within this film fulfilling? Dr. Burt Bernsden, played by the great Christian Bale. Yeah, he's got a very fulfilling arc. He's kind of the heart of this story, and I think the fulfillment comes from that. I really can't say anything else without giving things away because his character is such an intricate part of this story itself. John David Washington's Harold Woodman. Now, he plays Christian Bale's, Dr. Burt Bernsden's best friend and army friend from back in the day who is now a lawyer in New York. Whenever you see them on the screen together is whenever things start kicking up again. And you get some backstory, there's a lot of things, but I will say his arc is fulfilling alongside Christian Bale's, and alongside both of them is your third headlining star here, Margot Robbie, who plays Valerie Vos. And I would say her arc is just as fulfilling, if not more fulfilling than the other two in certain aspects. I would say her or Christian Bale's arc are the most fulfilling at the end of the day, and John David Washington's arc and her arc are fairly level in other degrees. Tom Vos, played by Rami Malek. He's a little more straightforward. You kind of get the gist of what he's gonna do pretty early on, but I would still say it's fulfilling. It's simple, yet fulfilling. And then his wife, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, she has maybe a little less fulfilling of an arc. She's not necessarily a pivotal character. She has some very pivotal parts, of course, but I wouldn't necessarily classify her as a pivotal character, so her arc isn't necessarily needing to be fulfilled at the end, and it kind of ties in with their husbands, and yeah, generally I would say yes, it is fulfilling. So then we got the great old Robert De Niro playing General Gil Dillenbeck. He's got easily one of the most fulfilling arcs of the film. I would say that when he is introduced, he takes hold and he's a mainstay from there on. Where it is 3 people leading the cast the entirety of the movie, he's your 4th lead the second he is introduced. His arc is fulfilling. So then we have the great Chris Rock playing Milton King, one of the good friends to both Christian Bale and John David Washington's characters. He was in the war with the both of them, so that kind of is a good way to tie everything in. He plays some very pivotal parts, but he's not a pivotal mainstay per the film. His arc is definitely fulfilling, and he's got some great quips in this movie. You'll love it. We also have Mike Myers playing Paul Canterbury in this film. And then alongside him, we have Mike Shannon playing Henry Norcross in this film. I would say both of their arcs are once again very pivotal to the film, but not huge roles. But with what they're given, they do wonderful. They talk about some bird watching the whole movie. You'll love it. It's really funny. It really is. Irma St. Clair, played by Zoe Saldana. I can't tell you what she does without giving anything away because she really does have a minor part, but she is a very big part of the story, and she is pivotal in her own way. And with what we're given from her, I would say her arc is fulfilling. And then we have Timothy Olyphant playing Taron Milfax. It took me a second to realize it's Timothy Olyphant. He does have lines in this movie, but he also has a little bit of makeup on his face, and maybe some prosthetics, possibly. Part of the movie I was like, is that Timothy Olyphant? He is kind of a sub-villain in here, and that's really like as far as I can give you there. But he does well. It's simple, it's straightforward, and I like what he did with the material that he was given. Then we have the detective, Lim Getwiller, played by Matthias Schoenaerts. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He actually adds a lot of things to this film that are necessary to keep the narrative and the plot moving, and he's not just a plot device because he has some really good character backstory with certain characters in the film. And that is explored. Him and his partner are high sources of chuckles for the audience. They're constantly making you laugh. We have Liz Meekins, played by old T Swift, Miss Taylor Swift herself. Music aside, I don't necessarily love Taylor Swift as an actress in the things that I've seen her in before, and this is the best thing I've seen her in. So yeah, I'd say her arc is fulfilling here. It's short, but it's good. That brings us into our third question. Did I personally like this film? When I left the theater, I did enjoy the film a lot. I got to be in one of the first paid screening in IMAX theaters a week and a half before the movie opens on October 7th. I went into it expecting a lot and expecting nothing, kind of at the same time. At the end of the day, that's what I got. And not in a bad way, by any means. It being that, both its upside and its downfall at parts. And I wouldn't say it's a downfall truly, but it's more of a creative choice. Yes, the first act of the film maybe didn't grab me as much as I would have liked while I was in the movie theater, because the second and third acts are where you really get that story. But after I left the movie theater, I found myself enjoying the first act more because it allowed me to jump and delve into that second and third act mentally. And let's get to the narrative. It's not perfect, but you really get to see David O. Russell playing around with each of these characters, and that's what I really like about it. So that brings me into our fourth question. Is the film itself worth watching? I would say it's definitely worth watching. Whether you're catching it on streaming months and months later or years in the future, whatever this time period you're watching this video may be, I'd still say this is a uniquely unique movie. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay at the end of the day. Don't even go in there expecting some big Sherlock Holmes, bang, shoot him out at the end, you know, because it's not something like that. With all that being said, should you get a ticket? Should you skip it? I can't say ticket with trepidation. I can't say skip it. All I can say is get yourself a ticket. Go see this in movie theaters and form an opinion for yourself. Let us know what that opinion is down in the comments. I know Christian Bale and David O. Russell both said that they've been working on this script for 6 to 7 years, and it's excellent in its own right. Bring your mom and dad. This is one that you can see with multiple people. And while you're at it, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you like what you're seeing, and we will see you back in the next Ticket or Skip It.